A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you back into another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are at Quaker Steak Lube, the place to be as we get ready for the semifinals of the college football playoffs and the NFL playoffs and college hoops and the NHL, and the list goes on and on. Great place to come down and watch all of your favorite sports. They have TVs set up all over the place. Of course, also a great place to come down and enjoy some great food, great beverages while you're provided great service. And, often you can find great company right here at Quaker Steak and Lube. Again, it is our home away from home for a reason. We love it here, and we are eternally grateful to Mr. Powers and company for allowing this to be our homes on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 4, which is when you can hear this particular little program. Lots to get into. Obviously, we're going to talk a good bit about the Penn State Notre Dame game. We will be talking about that on Thursday as well. That'll be game day for the Nittany Lions. Penn State and Notre Dame will kick it off a little after 7:30 at Hard Rock Stadium in the Orange Bowl in Miami, with the opportunity to go to the national championship game, which of course will be on Monday, January 20th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. I think the excitement is starting to ramp up here, dear Goon, and this game, and we'll see how everything plays out, obviously. This game, to me, feels like a true coin flip game. I don't think many people will be surprised if either team comes out victorious. And I think most people will be surprised if this is not a hotly contested game. I've been saying I think it'll be the winning team. The margin of victory will be single digits. Now, that's always a little tricky because, you could be up by 3 and then the last second interception gets returned for a touchdown and it's a 10-point win. But you get the idea. I think it is going to be a game that will come down to the final couple of minutes and one team or the other making a play to walk away with the victory and a chance to play for the national title. What say you?
Pretty unbelievable that we're talking about that, isn't it? I'm ecstatic that we're talking about this late into the season. It's January to talk about our Penn State football team still playing, the possibility of 2 games. It's almost like we waited our whole lives for this, Jeffrey, and we have. And what better matchup than Penn State Notre Dame on a Thursday night in January in South Florida, where the high temperature on Wednesday is, I believe, 59 or 62. It's not going to be a overly hot day, because I thought about that going into it. I was like, God, because I think that I heard that the plane's going down today or tomorrow, and they're going to play the next day and then get out one of those, in and out, treat it like a regular game.
Yep.
And I thought about, oh God, they're not going to be able to acclimate to the weather and stuff like that. But if it's in the 60s, I don't think that has to be a worry, because I do remember we were pretty hot at that Florida State game back in January 2006. It was still a pretty hot game as then. We weren't used to it, obviously, but they cramped up more than we did. But I just thought about like acclimation for our guys going from this beautiful, you actually said another beautiful day in Happy Valley. And
gorgeous.
About 9 heads turned and said, beautiful? What? Perfect day and perfect, huh? Yeah. I'm not, the weather, not really concerned about the heat and stuff like that, because we are both northern teams, and obviously that is an issue. And our guys, I'm sure since the last time they played in the practice, they've been told to hydrate, because it's going to be hotter than we're normally used to in the last 2-3 months. With that said, but Notre Dame, Penn State, winner goes in the national title. Freaking awesome, bro.
Yeah, and again, there are a lot of storylines, obviously, to follow. There's a lot of games within the game, and I think that all is going to be fun, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But because it is the 2 name brands that it is, because I think both of these fan bases, it feels like, have been waiting forever for this type of an opportunity where you really feel, and maybe Notre Dame felt like it had a shot in its previous playoff appearances, But I mean, both teams, I think, very legitimately, and fan bases very legitimately believe, man, this could be our opportunity to at least get to the championship game. And we'll talk about how quickly perceptions can change, because we went from, and I'm talking nationally, I'm not even talking within the Ohio State fan base, although that's interesting in and of itself. But nationally, man, Ohio State, very vulnerable, this, that, not looking like a team that could, take advantage of its opportunity. Now, there are a lot of experts. Hey, it's over. Ohio State has already won the national title. They have to play through these final 2 games, but they clearly are the best team. It's not even close. And it's like, listen, they are a very good team. We've said all year, I think they have the best roster. I think Ryan Day is underrated in terms of his leadership and being able to bring a locker room together and all of that. And I still believe all of that. It's a bunch of human beings, and we've seen teams that are red hot all of a sudden, man, it's inexplicable. They have a bad game. Now, we've seen teams red hot very explicably go on and roll too over the years, Alabama or the New England Patriots or what have you. But again, we've also seen teams where the undefeated New England Patriots said, man, I might as well give them the Super Bowl. I mean, the Giants are good, but give me a break. Well, the Giants had to play a near perfect game. Yeah, and they did. And they won. Yeah. It happens. It's sports. There are upsets all of the time. All kinds of things go into it. Hopefully we have a chance to get into that, because if Penn State and Ohio State both win, I think there's just going to be some interesting dynamics going into that game. But again, we'll save that, because right now we have Penn State Notre Dame.
I got a funny one for you.
In as big of a game as I think Penn State maybe has ever had. I was listening to Booch yesterday, Chris Buchanani, which you can hear right here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. His show airs in this same time slot, 2 to 4 Wednesdays. That second hour is generally handed over to Landon Tengwall with Behind the Wall. But Booch was talking yesterday about and I hadn't really thought of it, the way he was talking about this. Is this the biggest game for James Franklin? Is it the biggest game in Penn State history? All of those things. And rightfully, he points out it does depend in part on how you define this stuff. But when we can debate that and kick around a little bit the parameters on it, to me, the way I would phrase it is this is by far the biggest opportunity for James Franklin or a James Franklin coach team. Because, again, you win this game, I think, change the narrative. I just talked about Ohio State and how quickly, man, from the loss to Michigan to where they are heading into the semifinals, now they're perceived as just an unbeatable juggernaut. It's less than a month ago. They did lose to Michigan, and it's still the same players. It's still the same coaches. Yep, they seem to have flipped the switch. I get it. I'm not saying I'm not favoring them, because I am. Man, it's 2 games, and they looked really good in those 2 games. But I don't know. It's just interesting. If Penn State wins this game, again, to me, instantly, it changes, I think, for the majority of people, and certainly the overwhelming majority of sane people, the perspective on James Franklin, what is possible, regardless of what happens in the national title game. You get to that championship game, and in particular, Goon, I was thinking about this a little bit too. Like TCU had it shot, right? And it's like, okay, they get blown out, and we really, in terms of the national stage, haven't heard from them now. And I don't think many are expecting that they're going to get back into that type of opportunity. I think for Penn State, again, we were talking about, I think you want to cash in on this opportunity because you don't know when it's going to come again. But I also think when you look at potentially what Penn State has coming back next year, it's like, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape. It's not unreasonable to think that they could make another run next year. Now, again, a lot of things have to come together. You don't want to bank on that. We've talked about it with the NFL playoff teams. You see it often where, you have a couple of teams that are like, man, they're both built for the long term, and sometimes one, like the Kansas City Chiefs, have been on that roll, and yep, you see them. And then other times, like when the Steelers played the Cardinals, there were a lot of people that say, well, that won't be the last time we see the Cardinals. Man, they are built for the long term, and that was the last time we saw the Cardinals. So you never know. But it sure feels like this Penn State program is on solid enough footing that it's at least going to be in the mix, in contention next year. And certainly if it gets to the title game, and I think even just by being in the Final Four, this becomes an even more attractive destination spot for potential transfers moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, watching the home game here and how good that looked on television on the national scene was fantastic. How they played the Fiesta Bowl versus Boise, all that stuff. But then you get a national game against Ohio State in South Florida. It's going to be that destination is, okay, I want to go play for those guys because our guys look like they're still having fun. It truly, truly does look like we're having fun. And Notre Dame is very similar to our team. But you and I have talked multiple times about the fear that, if an Ohio State or a Texas wins, they're putting $25, $30 million in their teams each year. That's going to become the norm. And that will just cause the even bigger gap, in my opinion, because you know how some schools are going to be. Well, what do you think DeBoer is saying in Alabama? Hey, they had better players than us. Kick up, pony up. You can't complain unless you're not ponying up.
Yep.
And you're going to have the $40 million teams coming out soon. And just bad for football, in my opinion. But, I go back to, is this important? Yes, it is for James Franklin, obviously for Penn State. But, it's the same time frame as Notre Dame. We won 82 and 86. So think about the 82 game. Joe was under probably the same damn pressure that Franklin is. He can't win the big one. They lost the 78 title game to Alabama as the undefeated team. They had undefeated in 73, couldn't win a national title, 68, 69, all that stuff. So we're going up to 82, and Joe had the knock on him that he could not win the big game. And lo and behold, he loses to Alabama that year, but, everything worked out, and they won in that. They played and won for the national title over Georgia. I think it's a very similar situation where James is right now. I truly, truly do. We were too young to even remember that. But I'm sure that there was – I know Joe talked about the pressure he was under to win a national title after that 78 debacle versus Alabama. So, it's a big thing. But it's very similar to what Joe went through. And then the parallels again, our titles were 82, 86, and then we had a very good team in 1994 who deserved a piece of the national title. Their 88 national championship and their 93 team, which is – I talk about how we got screwed. They got screwed. Notre Dame got screwed worse than we did. They played Florida State that year, beat Florida State head-to-head.
Yeah.
Their loss was the last second loss to Boston College, if you remember, on that field goal.
Yeah.
But yet they both win the bowl games, and yet the voters decide, their loss was a lot worse to Boston College than Florida State's was in Notre Dame. But they went head-to-head, and they beat them head-to-head. But similar record. And that they still gave, that was the old era of we got to get these coaches national titles. Bobby Bowden, and then, obviously in 94, we ran into the Tom Osborne thing with Nebraska. We got to get him a national title. And it's just like, Notre Dame deserved a national title in 93. We deserved at least a piece in 94, 93, 94, all that stuff. So it's very similar. And our fan bases, where I grew up. So, and I had an idiot, Jeff. I tried to cut you off earlier. I had an absolute idiot of a friend tell me this weekend that he said that this is all plotted by Ohio State to not have to play in a Big Ten title game. I said, you really think Ohio State purposely lost to Michigan?
Brilliant strategy.
You think they purposely lost to Michigan so they didn't have to play in a Big Ten title game and they got to bye and then had to play Oregon? This is an honest-to-God person talking to me this, and he's like, yes, It was an easier route for them not having to play. And then I'm like, I don't think you understand the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. And then I had some Ohio State fans up this weekend at my house. My wife's cousins were in town, and they were like, you could not believe this. Even if Ryan Day wins a national title, there are still people who want him fired this year because of that loss to Michigan and 4 losses in a row.
Well, yeah, that's.
You think that we're a delusional fan base?
The definition of insanity, but
you think that we have a delusional fan base and a crazy fan base? That is insanity. To even think about that. Oh, well, they lost to Michigan 4 in a row, so we need to get rid of him. You just won a national title. You're in a Final Four. You're playing for a national. It doesn't matter. You must be the team from up north. And I'm like, you guys are crazy. I'm not even talking to you anymore. Yeah. I can't even speak to you anymore.
And I mean, I get rivalries and the importance of them and all of that. But I mean, is there another, like, you can't think of any other, I mean, I really can't think of any other fan base in any other sport with that beating the rival is more important than winning a championship. Like, I mean, the Steelers-Ravens is a big rivalry, obviously. But what 100% of the time, every Steelers fan I know, including me, would you rather be 0-2 against the Ravens and win the Super Bowl, or be 2-0 against the Ravens with 2 giant wins, and you lose by a field goal in the Super Bowl? It's not a. Well, let me think about that for a second. It's obviously, I mean, it's a no-brainer. North Carolina Duke is about as good as it gets in terms of a sporting rivalry when it comes to college hoops. You think there's a Duke or a North Carolina fan out there that would get swept? Like, if the choice is get swept in the season series or win a national title, we'll get swept in the season series and win the national title. It just is. And again, I can't imagine that's anywhere near a majority. I feel like that's just a very small segment of, again, truly insane
complete wackos.
Ohio State fans.
Horrible wackos.
In any sport, you're in it to win a championship. And at least the coaches and the players in the sports have an understanding of that. And I think most overwhelming majority of fans have that understanding and appreciation as well.
This puts us back into the blue blood category, I believe, too. We've been living off of this 80s, 90s things for a long time and not winning big games in the last 10 years and all that stuff. But who has been winning those games? That's the other thing I want to talk about is that people have this like, he only has one victory versus the number 1 team in the country. Okay, let's think about that. I mean, how many games are people winning? And I know we're going to get statistics thrown at us and this and that, but I mean, it's not like there's like Nick Saban went out there and won against the number 1 team every time he ever played. So I do. So do you think that this puts us back in the blue blood range? Because I think we've fallen off a little bit.
So
the name is still there.
This is an interesting discussion, I think, because it is going to depend on how you define blue blood. Because to me, like if you're talking all-time history of college football, I think Penn State is probably one of the top 10, certainly one of the top 12 college football programs all time. What I think is always a little tricky is you try to combine. I think most people, it's like, well, in the moment, who are, to go back to James Franklin's now infamous press conference, the elite in college football. To me, it is a little bit of a combination. Like Clemson was elite there for a while.
There you go.
I don't know that at the moment, like Clemson, Penn State, to me, very comparable programs. I think in the moment, this season moment, and maybe even over the last 2 years, that's like, I think Penn State maybe has the slight edge overall history. And in the moment, again, probably certainly as good of a program. I would argue a little better just over these last couple of years. And I think looking ahead, I think Penn State's in better position. I think Clemson's in good position. And, I think that's a debatable point in terms of, all right, what's the next 5 years look like? Because the truth is none of us have any idea whatsoever what the next 5 years really are going to look like, because we're still trying to figure out how all of this is going to shake out and what how the money is going to change things, what schools are going to benefit the most, what schools are going to be hurt the most, what kind of parameters will be put on it, what kind of follow-up in terms of adherence to the parameters that are put in place. All of this stuff, who knows? We got to see how that all plays out. But we've talked about it, Goon. To me, since James Franklin has been here, Penn State has clearly been a top 10 program. I would argue probably top 8 during the course of his tenure here. Do I think this season and getting to the Final Four this year changes significantly that overall? No, but I think it puts Penn State in better position to continue to move up. Right. But I mean, right now, again, if you're looking at, let's say, the last decade of college football, again, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, probably Oklahoma would be, I think, pretty clearly ahead of Penn State.
Texas.
And then I don't think there's a lot of teams that would be ahead of Penn State over the last decade. Certainly not Texas. Notre Dame would be in the discussion for sure. Having, part of it is getting to the playoffs. Washington would rightfully be in the discussion. I mean, but I don't think there's other teams there or other programs where you're like, well, clearly, I mean, heads and shoulders. It's like, yeah, probably those 5, at least in my mind. And maybe I'm missing somebody. I don't think I am, though. I think, again, there's some others that it's like, I might put this program a little ahead of Penn State. But I think that they're more debatable at that point. I don't think Penn State having one run, again, in the moment, I do think it is changing the perception, having the Penn State name out there and the recognition over the course of these playoffs is certainly benefiting the program. I think James Franklin comes across very well. He's very polished in dealing with the media, and I think that is a huge plus just for the overall program. And listen, I think you have a lot of great stories. Drew Aller and his development, Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen, having the game they did against, and I understand not directly against Ashton Genty, but you understand the point statistically. Well, that's getting attention. Tyler Warren and the numbers he's put up, Abdul Carter. So, I mean, this is all positive stuff in a huge way for the program. And again, I don't know that, all right, well, because Penn State won this year, now they're clearly ahead of Michigan. And, no, but I think, again, it puts them in position that, all right, well, Michigan won the national title last year. Even if Penn State doesn't win it this year, they're in the Final Four. If they can get to the championship game, all right, well, they're right there then the following season. I think Ohio State, even if Penn State wins the national title, I think I'd still put the program overall right now ahead of Penn State's. But again, I think you're down to 2 or 3 programs that would be, to me, clearly in the moment. All right, yep, that's a program that's on better overall footing, better overall, more recent tradition than Penn State. I think then you're kind of down to Georgia, maybe Alabama, but again, there's a lot of questions here moving forward. So again, it's going to depend on how you define it.
Yep.
But is it all beneficial stuff for Penn State? Of course.
You go out and lose by 30 points, it's going to go right back to bed.
Yeah, and
right?
I just, for
and
sure.
I don't foresee that happening. I really don't either way.
No, I just don't see. Again, to me, this is truly a coin flip game. There are some things I really like from Penn State's perspective in terms of the matchup. There are some things that I think are concerning. And, no great analysis here, I understand. But this game really does have the feel to me, Goon. It's going to come down to special teams and turnovers. And it's like, and again, there's a lot of things we're going to break down or talk about. Like, I think Penn State's running game, even though Notre Dame has a very good defense overall and a good rush defense, I think Penn State is good enough now with that running game and with their schemes and with their skill set, both along the offensive line and with the running back and even Drew Aller in moments. Like, I think they will have some success. And maybe we'll get into how you define that against Notre Dame. Now, I think Penn State's been very good against the run with its defense. I think Notre Dame presents some unique challenges with the way it approaches its run game. On paper, I think you would give the passing game advantage to Penn State. The problem is you'd give the passing defense advantage to Notre Dame. That secondary has been playing lights out. So I think, and the receiving core remains, I think the biggest question mark still for Penn State. So I think it's a really, really fun game to try to match up, to analyze, to try to figure out what's going to happen. I really get the feeling it's going to be a turnover and or just a big, a muffed punt or a long field goal, that type of a game where it's special teams and or turnovers is going to be your difference maker. For sure.
Special teams.
Well, was it 55 seconds or whatever it was, less than a minute of game time.
14.
Again, you take that away, 17 points that went on the board like that for Notre Dame. You take those 17 points away, and Georgia wins the game. Now, obviously, you don't do that because Notre Dame went out and earned those points. They forced the turnover. They got the big special teams play, all of that. So, I think, and I think Notre Dame goes in feeling very good about its chances of winning the turnover game, of winning special teams. And I think Penn State has a very good chance to do the same thing, right?
I think that worrying about number 11 on the outside is a big, big worry of Penn State and the fan base. If he's going to play or not. It's not night and day him being there or not in there, but he does make things happen, a lot more things. Yes, the guys who replaced him did a lot of stuff the other night, and they played very well in his stead, but you don't have that explosion of Abdul Carter making big plays, sacks, pressures, fumbles, but it's next man up mentality, obviously. We don't know if he's playing, and people are like, "Oh, I can't believe how many phone calls and text messages I've gotten this week. Do you know if he's playing?" Like, how the hell would I know? But it is what it is. But my theory, and my feeling is, we're gonna know Thursday night. I don't think James is gonna sit there and say, "Oh, well, he's playing or not playing." I know that the last 2 days of practice he wasn't there in the early sessions and stuff like that, but that's not uncommon. Might still be getting some rehab and then come out for the second half of practice. That is what it is. So I'm not reading into all of that too much. It's obviously a significant enough injury that he didn't play the whole second half of that game. He got hurt in the first quarter, I believe. So that is a big thing. But their pass game, their run game and our run game are very similar. And I'm just going to go. We'll talk about the matchups on Thursday, but we match up well with them. We need to be able to pass block their D line, and then they need to be able to pass block ours. I think whoever put the most pressure, because I think we're both be able to run the ball, but it's a question of who can actually pass the ball. And I don't think there is one-sided as Boise State with just the run and you stop the run, you'll be okay type of thing. That's not going to happen. But you can shut down Notre Dame's run and try and make them pass. It's just like Penn State.
Yeah.
It's a very similar team. And as if you could shut down Penn State's run game and make us pass to, I'm not going to say that we have great receivers. We have inferior receivers. The proof's in the pudding there. There's no doubt about that. We know that. That's not the strength of our team is our wide receiver play. The strength of our team is our tight end play and our run game. So if those two are working, we'll be okay. But it's up to Notre Dame to try and shut that down. But they're very similar in that facet that they don't have a great pass game. They have a very good run game and a very good offense. They're just like us on offense. So it's going to make some plays happen on Thursday night. And then, it's going to come down to a special teams play, like you said, or a defensive play, a sack strip, an upset, an interception, a fumble recovery type of thing that can sway the game either way. For Notre Dame and for Penn State, they're very similar teams. Very similar.
Yeah, even in terms of like they've both overcome some pretty significant injuries this season, and are still playing very good football. I think either will be a substantial underdog against Ohio State. My guess is that I haven't seen what the prognostications are if Texas is the opponent in the national championship game. I'm guessing Texas would be a slight favorite over either one, primarily because Texas would be coming off a win against the now perceived juggernaut of Ohio State.
Yeah, we have the highest payout for national title.
Yes.
So we would be considered the 4th seed, I think.
Yes, least likely to win the title. But the odds are not all that substantially different.
Yeah, not when we're sitting there in a four-figure sum. I mean, I think it's like 450 or 550 or something like that. It's not a huge margin.
Yeah, and I've heard some of the folks talking about the game, and again, it's everybody's obviously entitled to their opinion. We're all going to share our opinions, but I don't think this is one of those games where, is it important to get off to a good start? Yes. Well, if you don't get off to a good start, then does that forego your chances? Well, no. And with either team, again, I'm sure it is a point of emphasis in practice this week. Man, let's get off to a good start. If one of them falls behind 14-0, neither of these coaching staffs or these teams are going to be like, oh, man, crap, not our night. Let's pack it up. They both are going to believe, yeah, we can come back and win this. We have plenty of talent. So all of the things that we talk about all the time, again, emphasis on not turning the ball over. Yep. Well, if you have an early turnover, again, well, then you play through it. Hey, let's get it back at some point. So it's just going to be fun to watch. And I think there's going to be ebbs and flows as there are to every football game. And I think it's just going to be one of those, I think it's going to be an instant classic. I think that this is a game that will keep fans on the edge of their seat. I think there will be big moments for both teams. I think the defenses will show up big, but I also think these offenses are good enough now and are able to put things together well enough that no matter how good the defenses are, they're going to be able to get some points on the board. I think both of these teams, I'm expecting to be in the high teens, low 20s when this thing ends on Thursday.
Do it every week. I can't wait. I really can't wait. I really I woke up on Saturday and I said, "Is it game day already?" I mean, I'm ready for. I was chomping, man. I was really chomping. I was like, man, I gotta wait 5 more days for this game. So, I mean, have you been more excited for a game?
I mean,
I know this is your busy time of year, so you got the wrestling on your world, all this and all that, but man, this is an unbelievable game.
No, it is. It's very exciting. I mean, there have been a lot of exciting games over the years when it comes to it. It's hard to, I don't know that I'd say I'm definitively more excited about this one than some of the others. That Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin was pretty doggone exciting considering, where that program had come from and what that game meant and all of that. There have been some big games. Again, the opportunity at hand here for James Franklin and for Penn State, and by the way, for Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. I mean, it is really special stuff, and I think it is. It's just one of those games that, if you're the fans of either team, I think it is going to be not easy on the heart. I think this is going to be a rough Thursday night because, again, there's going to be. And I'm already trying to prepare myself. I try to prepare myself the way the team gets prepared for what I'm going to see. And I'm like, there's going to be some struggles here. Like, there's going to be some adversity. There's going to be a turnover. There's going to be a penalty that is going to get you upset. Don't get upset. It's a 4-quarter game. I'm having the conversation with myself because it is. It is going to be a battle right to the end. I'll again be very surprised if this is not a very competitive game with both teams having a chance, let's say at least going into the last 4 or 5 minutes of the contest.
God, I can't wait. I mean, I truly, it's just going to be, again, where I grew up, it was you either were Notre Dame or Penn State. That's the bottom line at home. And that's how it was in, A lot of my friends are Penn State, obviously, because of where I was, who I am, and where I was from, and all that stuff. But a lot of Notre Dame people, so it's been fun, the badgering back and forth. And I just think that they're two very good programs, very good histories, good clean programs that we're getting ready to go watch on this week. And they're very similar teams. They're fun. They're fun teams to watch, actually. Because they have some characters on their team, and there's a lot of attitude on both of the teams. I mean, they're very proud, and they're a very proud tradition of Notre Dame football, just like how we feel as if our tradition of Penn State is. And this is one of those game changing, like program changing, like this is the next step, in my opinion. I mean, people say that, he has to win this. James needs to win this game to prove that he could. We're already here, dude.
Yeah,
he's already
won those games.
Yeah, we're ready to rock, man. So this is the next step that we've been looking to take here for a few years here, and it's upon us. It is here. We're 2 days away from it happening, and it's going to be so freaking exciting.
It is, and we'll take a break here. When we come back, Goon, I think one of the more fascinating things is going to be watching how both teams manage or handle the nerves at the start. Again, both these teams have obviously done a lot of good things, won a lot of big games. This is different. You're playing for the opportunity to get to the national title game. I think this has a chance to be as highly watched of a college football game as we have had, like ever, because of the fan bases, because of how hungry those fan bases are, because of the name brands and all of that. I think it's going to be a ratings bonanza. And which team manages those nerves, I think think both coaching staffs are very good at that. I think both these teams are mature. Again, it's just different. This is a different level of excitement that I think they'll be dealing with at the start of Thursday night's game.
I got nerves. I got nerves.
And imagine being out there on the field and knowing the opportunity.
I wish we at least have that. I used to say that when I coached, I would get all wound up. Like I used to get more wound up for games than when I coached than when I played, because I don't have the ability to go out and change the game. When I was playing, I could. I have that feeling a lot, and that's like, I get like, the knots in my stomach, like I'm playing, like it's that big of a game. I'm that vested in it and stuff like that, but I can't do anything about it. So I'm like, all my, dreams and everything is on these 18 to 22-year-old kids, and it's scary, but it is what it is.
We'll take a break, talk a little bit about some of the matchups again as we get ready for Penn State Notre Dame on Thursday night. You're listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show right here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
Oh, those guys. We are back here on a Tuesday, 2 days ahead of the Penn State Notre Dame matchup. We'll get into some other Penn State sports, probably talk some NFL playoff action. Is it just me, or is there a little different feel around the Eagles than there is the Steelers heading into the playoffs, Goon? I know they're both heading there. Both have the same opportunity, at least in theory. But it for some reason feels a little different.
We're both playing with backup quarterbacks as of right now. Yours is considered the starter, but he has regressed. He truly, truly has. And that is the problem is with that run game. And they're going to sit there and say, Rush, you got to beat us with the arm. And it's just, and they're putting pressure on him. I mean, Hendrickson the other night, my God, 4.5 sacks. Jeez Louise. I know what the Steelers are in line for. They're looking for a left tackle, I would assume, but they've already tried that. I mean, geez, man. You can't give up 4.5 sacks and expect your quarterback to play a game. I mean, but, I'm watching television here. I came here for lunch, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, is Jalen Hurts practicing yet? They said still not today. He hasn't been practiced in 2.5 weeks. Now, whether he plays or not, that's rust, man. That is a lot of rust that he's going to have to knock off in that game. I'm okay. I watched the game on Saturday or Sunday with McKee at quarterback. He looked pretty damn good. You got two starting wide receivers that are pretty much one receiver. You got a fairly good tight end and a really good offensive line. Put it on the kid with a great running game. Let's go. Just tell the kid right now you're starting and don't worry about Hurts and move on and let's go. It sucks. No doubt about it. He was, again, playing so good this year and then, gets hurt late in the season with a concussion. Okay, so anybody can complain about these referees making these players sit out for these concussions, but that umpire who pulled off Jalen Hurts, and I got to give my buddy Chris Lowe a lot of credit for this. He's like, that umpire saw something in his eyes. Actually, he didn't see anything in his eyes, and that's why he said, get him checked out, because no one else saw it. Even when I watched the play, I was like, what's going on? I don't think he got hit that hard. And then I saw the replay, and I'm like, oh, God. And that umpire saw that, and it made him – he gave him the old, no, you're off. And he kicked him off the field, and then he hasn't touched the field since. And that's been 2.5 weeks, man. Yeah. It's crazy how these concussions roll and that, get through it quick, slow. Some guys get through it pretty quick, kick back, jump back easy. I don't know about Hurts' concussion history. I know he wears a pretty big damn helmet to not have to get a concussion. Maybe he has had them in the past. I don't know. But I thought that McKee played pretty well the other day to be able to say, you know what, you've earned this start. Let's go. We're not worried about Jalen. If he could come, he could play. We'll play. But as of right now, you're our starter.
Yeah. Well, and I think from Penn State's perspective, getting ready for Notre Dame, to me, it's kind of the same thing with Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Now, they obviously know internally. I think they have a pretty good idea anyway whether or not he's going to play. I'm kind of expecting, Goon, that he is out for this one. Maybe could get back for the championship game, but I will say that the way Vanover played, and as you said, I mean, there's no question. You don't lose an Abdul Carter and not have that impact you. I think that it speaks volumes about where this program is, that does not look like all right, well, then you throw your hands up. There's not much you can do.
We're done
here. It's like, it's going to make it a little tougher for sure, maybe a lot tougher. But, man, they still have playmakers all over the place on that D-line. And I think with what we're seeing from the linebacker play, Goon, and I think that play was good back at the start of the season, but, man, it has developed, and those guys are big time now. I mean, I think that front seven now is really, really good for Penn State. And, one of the games within the games here, to me, Goon, really is which team can more consistently stay on schedule, because both of these teams struggle a bit when they get into those third and longs, as a lot of teams do. But, I mean, neither of these teams that's not a comfort level for them. And I think both teams like to go to the tight end when they can in those situations. It's just that both defenses know that's what the other team likes to do in those situations. So, can you get a big play for a loss on first or second down and create a disruption into the tempo that I think both of these offenses want to establish, and that both of these offenses have been pretty consistently able to establish down the stretch here of this season. I think that's going to be fascinating to watch. And again, I think both offensive coordinators probably go in feeling pretty good about, I think we can stay on schedule more often than not. And I think both defensive coordinators go in feeling pretty good about their chances of, we can disrupt a play here or play there, get them off schedule. The one thing for Penn State, going at, you cannot afford, I think, in this game to have the self-inflicted wounds. You can't be jumping off sides defensively. You can't have the false starts offensively. Again, is there going to be holding, maybe face masking throughout the game? Yep, that stuff you live with. You yell at the TV in the moment. But, man, don't give up 5 yards either way free. That's going to feel like a lot more than the 5 yards in the moment for sure. And it just puts extra pressure on whichever unit makes the mistake against a good opposing unit. And again, same thing, obviously, from Notre Dame's perspective. They need to avoid the self-inflicted mistakes as well.
I mean, that's championship football in itself. First one to blink, make a mistake, and then somebody has got to capitalize on their mistakes, and you got to keep yours to a minimum. But the self-inflicted Jones, they got to get rid of them quick. The offsides, the false starts, the holds, the hands to the face. They are. It's part of the game, obviously, but they are self-inflicted. And again, if you know the referee is warning you early in the game to keep your hands in, he's looking to call that penalty. So offensively, we got offensive line wise, interior wise, we got to keep that, knowing that in our head. It's the more I watch, I do a lot. I watch a lot of stuff with Tangwell does and some other guys do for the bloggy and all those doing reviews. The teams are so similar. And I'm a red zone guy, right? So we're talking about how good the tight ends are at Penn State, and there's 6 or 7 in the NFL. There's probably 4 or 5 from Notre Dame in the NFL too.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about over a third of the teams in the NFL starting tight ends are from these two colleges. I mean, it's obviously a good thing. I mean, the similarities between the teams are strong D lines, good linebacker play, strong defensive backs, and but the strengths, I mean, you're going to sit there and laugh, but I'm going to sit there and say it's the offensive lines. It's going to come down to the offensive lines once again. I mean, I mean, I can make anything about the offensive line. I'm talking about a World Cup soccer match. I'm like, hey, it's about the offensive line there, Jeff. Bottom line, if you can get the offensive line going, no, I mean, it's true. If we can protect our quarterback and run the ball, we're winning. You know, if they can do that, if they can protect the ball, protect the quarterback, and run the ball, we're in trouble. You know, and should be just an absolutely just awesome, fun game to watch. I don't think I have any Notre Dame fans with me. I don't think they're going to be up there. I think they're going to be in their own little party.
Yeah,
in the corner.
Thursday night makes it tough, at least for a lot of us, I think, to get like Saturday night games are a little different in terms of now maybe you're able to take work off or something.
I mean, if I were you, I'd pre-record your Friday show. That's just me, buddy. You imagine pre-recording and having the note, not even talking about the game.
Right.
Like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
Did we not play a game?
Yeah, it is going to be a little tough because it's like, win or lose, I have a tough time getting to sleep after the adrenaline pumps in a game like this. And so Friday will be a
if
little
you pregame, prepare, start about 3, you'll be out by 11. You'll be fine. You'll be dead asleep by 11, trust me. Not good sleep, but you'll be asleep at least. You can say, I went to bed early last night, you know? You can trick yourself into not being hungover for your show. But just look at the weekend, Jeff.
Yep.
Thursday night college, Friday night college, Saturday and Saturday night NFL, Sunday, all day Sunday, and then a Monday night game on the NFL again. I mean, you got 5 days of just some really, really high-end football coming our way.
Pretty fun stuff.
And we were talking, I was having lunch with my friends over here. We were talking, I'm actually happy, go back to the NFL playoffs. I'm very happy they got rid of the 2 buys because remember wild card weekend, it was like slop team versus slop team. And then it was like there were sloppy games. And then they go the next week and just get absolutely pummeled by 40 points.
Yeah.
There are some pretty unfreaking believable matchups this weekend. Some really, really good matchups in football, in the NFL, I'm saying, the playoffs. I mean, top to bottom, I mean, it's going to be a great, fantastic playoff season. But, I mean, it starts with the only one team gets a bye. That game on Sunday night, Kerry was like, this is a pretty good game. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty, I mean, Detroit playing the defense the way they did on the Vikings and stuff like that. Yep. And I said, well, it's playoff football. I mean, think about that. You win, you get a week off. Do you know how important that is when it comes to these playoff runs? My God. So.
Yeah, no, it's
going to be a fun 5 or 6 days here, buddy.
It is.
I would stock up with Busch Light early, Alan. And I have to admit on air, the Flyers lost.
Got to go early.
The Flyers lost to the Penguins 2 weeks ago, so I owe him a 30-pack of Busch Light.
There you go.
I'm still drinking that. Oh, that's not true. I was going to say I was still drinking my Eagles Steelers Bud Light, but that did make it.
Waiting for my Penguins to get on a roll. Like they keep, game or two, and then, never mind. Here we go. No,
I'm embarrassed. I can't even say my Flyers anymore because I have not. It's just that disappointing. That disappointing.
Let me ask you this, Goon. If you were coaching the Nittany Lions, you win the coin toss, what are you doing Thursday night?
I'm always a big defer guy because they're going to put their offense out there 100% of the time. I love our defensive effort, and then we get the ball in the second half. I mean, if you feel if Kodalnicki goes to James and says, dude, I got these guys. Let's get on the board early. Let's get them early. And then you say, we want the ball. What would you do?
Well, I think I would do the same thing. I think I want my defense out there first, and I want the opportunity to strike first in the second half, regardless of where we're at halftime. So I'm with you. But it is going to be fascinating to me to see, again, early, which team can maybe dictate a little bit of the flow of the game. The thinking is, and I think it's accurate thinking, both teams want to, again, get that rhythm established early and put some pressure on the opposing team and, again, kind of grind it out. There is a part of me that just keep thinking Penn State is going to come out with like a play action on that first play and at least take a shot with Amari Evans, like downfield. And it doesn't have to be Evans, but that's just like there's just a part of me that's like, man, they want to.
And we hit it, and we get that false sense of security. We play like crap for 3 more quarters.
Yeah. Yes. And well, and that's the other thing is, again, going back to talking about the importance or lack of importance really to getting off to a good start. How many times, Goon, have you seen in these big games, a team scores first, and especially if it's a big play, either a pass play or a kickoff.
Yep.
And Joe Paterno used to talk about this, where there's just that momentary on the sidelines, like, oh, this is our day. And you just, again, it's not like a
relax.
Yeah, you're not consciously thinking about it, but I remember Joe, and I think in a couple of different press conferences talked about that.
I talk about it on our first play of the Rose Bowl. It's the worst thing that could have happened to us is that first play of the game, because we relaxed thinking, oh, we got these guys. These guys stink. We're going to win by 100 points. We're going to go out here and score 100 points. And we went out there and they smacked us in the teeth in the second, third, until midway through the second quarter. They bashed us up pretty good. So there is that false sense of security, like, okay, we got this. And then the opposing team's like, all right, we got to buckle down. We got to make some plays here, make some things happen. Everybody just relax, buckle down, get after it. And
yeah,
that is a thing. That is a total thing.
The momentum thing is just going to be, again, fascinating to watch in this.
I'm interested to see the crowds. Who, how much,
I am
where.
Too. Yep.
50-50. I would think 50-50. I mean,
close to
the amount of people I know that didn't get tickets. Got declined.
Yeah.
I said I didn't have enough Netty Line Club points. I'm like, I'm a freaking letterman. And they said,
Sorry.
no, there's so many people who got tickets that I got the decline letter. And I was like, damn, I've been a season ticket holder for 8+ years and still don't have enough points.
Yeah.
So that gives you any indication of the amount of people that are trying to go to this game from our side. I know that my wife works at the Alumni Association. That event that they're having, the pregame pep rally, completely sold out already. It was sold out last night. I got people calling me like, can your wife get? I'm like, I can't. One of our sponsors is calling us. And she's like, can she get me? And I'm like, it's not a Penn State alumni event. It has been through the Orange Bowl, through a whole different set of companies that they're doing it, and Penn State is just part of it. But just I'm interested to see half Notre Dame, half Penn State, more Penn State, more Notre Dame. I don't know, because Notre Dame travels. I mean, Notre Dame's got fans everywhere. If you're Irish Catholic, and I mean, you think about where else would all the Notre Dame and Penn State people want to meet? The Orange Bowl. It's right there. It's where everybody is. They're all the snowbirds are down there. Absolutely. All the Northeast snowbirds are down in South Florida right now. And they're like, oh, okay, we got tickets, and pretty damn good, man. Just everything about this game it's going to be great. And I hope it is a game. I really do hope it is a game, and I hope it turns out right for us. I have a feeling it will turn out right for us. I love our team. I love the attitude our team has coming in. So, and I'm still not convinced that Notre Dame really played anybody. I mean, they played Georgia with a backup court, and I'm not downplaying Georgia.
Yeah.
I am not whatsoever downplaying Georgia. But that's a backup quarterback in there. Their left tackle couldn't block me.
He was struggling.
That was some unbelievable stuff out there that I was witnessing. With their defense, man. So I mean, that's on film. I'm sure that Shelton is all kinds of fired up, getting ready. That he's going to make his name for himself this weekend on the Notre Dame defensive line. It's going to be a freaking unbelievable game. Yeah, avoid the false starts, the holds, this and that. Keep Aller clean, run the football. We're going to Atlanta.
Yeah, it's just such a fascinating game. And as you said, I think I'm imagining that in South Bend, the talk shows are saying very much the same thing about Penn State. It's like, yeah, man, I think Penn State's good for sure. But who have they beaten? Like, they still haven't beaten anybody. And I think they're saying the same thing. Man, we just need to establish a line of scrimmage. We need to get to the halftime in good shape, momentum flows. But if we just take care of the football, we're going to win the game. And I think they feel like they have the advantage with special teams, especially based off of the kickoff that really, I know it didn't put the game away, but it felt like it in the moment. And I guess at the end of the day, to a large
you don't
degree,
come back from.
Yeah, you could argue that it did. But
Kirby Smart's looking at that going, that's the turning point right there. We were not going to be able to come back from that. And that's on your special teams right then and there. Better be ready, all three facets, baby. They better be ready to go. I've been very impressed with how Notre Dame as a team in the 2 games that I watched. As a team, I've been very, very impressed with how they played. Offense, defense, and specifically special teams.
Yep, I think both these teams are just really, really well led by coaching staffs, but also just with the players on the team, the captains, and as you said, they're very similar. There's differences in terms of style and the way that they try to implement some things, but in terms of the culture, in terms of the fan bases and the excitement / anxiousness, I think there's also both fan bases are like, oh, please, like let our good guys show up, and I think they both will. Both teams may have some nerves early on, which would be completely understandable. I think this will settle into one of those games where, like, man, win or lose, that was a special thing that we witnessed. Obviously, it'll feel differently depending on whether your team comes out on top ultimately or not. We'll continue to talk about this Penn State Notre Dame game, but we'll also talk some other Penn State sports, basketball, hockey, and wrestling in particular, as we continue with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak Lube.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
2 of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally. bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, The Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on a Tuesday afternoon, getting ready for Penn State Notre Dame Thursday night in the college football semifinals. Winner goes to the national title game against the winner of Friday night's Texas-Ohio State game. January 20th again in Atlanta is where and when the national championship game will be played. Goon, hats off to the Penn State hockey team, setting the tone for this Penn State Notre Dame week. Pretty neat scene at Wrigley Field on Friday night, battling to a 3-3 draw, but the Nittany Lions shut out the Fighting Irish in South Bend and get their first win in conference action. Now open up a big 6-game homestand Friday night against Michigan State. Penn State women's hockey getting a historic victory over Minnesota. First time the women's team ever beat Minnesota. Golden Gophers ranked third at the time. That is a huge win for that program, and kind of changes the complexion maybe of what is possible for this year's Penn State women's hockey team. Penn State basketball, Goon, the Indiana game was in some ways frustrating, but in other ways, Goon, I mean, that is about as off as I think Penn State's going to be all season in terms of three-point range, and certainly from the free throw line. That has not been the Penn State team we've seen all season. And the fact that they still had a shot against an Indiana team that was pretty dialed in. Again, would you like to have it back and get the W? Of course. I just, in some ways, I actually feel better about the overall prospects of this team for this season, even though, I guess officially that'll go down as a home loss, obviously not at the Jordan Center, but at the Palestra in Philadelphia. But I have a good feeling about how this team is going to respond to that. Starting tomorrow night and a big opportunity tomorrow at Illinois. Yeah. Very tough assignment.
Illinois is not happy about that, losing the Red Ball last year for sure.
That
but it actually galvanized that Illinois team last year to win like 7 or 8 in a row after that game and make a good run in the tournament. So I don't know. Have you been to a game in the Palestra?
I have not been to a basketball game. Okay,
yeah, it's I don't know if you've ever been there.
I don't know
how to explain the basketball game, but it's amazing. And I had some people telling me that they had some Indiana fans that were yelling at them. This place sucks. It's tiny. We have high school gyms bigger than this in Illinois and in Indiana. It's like
you have to know what you're expecting. Fenway Park, Wrigley Field.
So do we, guy. It's like relax, there, buddy. I mean, and I know they take it pretty serious, but I love that. I love watching that game. But you are right. If that's as bad as we're going to play offensively in that game, and we were still in that game, which is a good sign for this program and this team going forward. But tomorrow night that's a big one. I mean, we're going to see how they come back after a loss. What are they, 2-2 in the conference right now? Okay, 500 in the Big Ten conference is pretty damn good. Let's roll. Let's not get 2 in a row, 2 losses in a row. So, I think that Mike understands that, and these guys will, and they do understand that also. So, I just liked being. We did lose to Purdue there a couple of years ago, so now I believe it's 2 in a row we've lost down there. I think, I forget, but we were on a roll, and I remember somebody had told me the last time that me and Harry had gone. And I did ask, why are we doing these on Sundays? Why are we not doing these on Saturday nights? Get more of a crowd in there, more of a travel crowd type of thing. It's tough to travel down to Philadelphia on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Same for them to come up here for a game. And somebody had said, well, I believe the Ivy League plays at those times, so they're not going to give a Saturday night. So I was like, understood, but is what it is. Love going down there, love playing down there. I know Rhodes does. I know that the coaches do. And it's really good for recruiting because you get a lot of Philadelphia eyes on your team, and that team's up and improving. So a lot of people were there watching our team play, 10 minutes from where they grew up. So awesome. Love it. Love the experience of going down there and love the playing down there. And I know that Mike does and the team does too. Wish it was a different outcome, but again, you hit the nail on the head. If that's as bad as we're going to play all year, we'll take it because you're going to win a lot of basketball games. Indiana's not a bad program, not a bad team.
Yeah, I think it's at least as cold as they're going to be from three-point range and from the free throw line. Hopefully, that's as cold as they'll be all season. That was just not characteristic of this team. So. But again, a tough one, but a big opportunity tomorrow night. If you can follow up again, technically a home loss with a road win against a team like Illinois. I think more importantly, and obviously a win would be huge, but I think it's just kind of how this team responds and kind of how it handles maybe that taste of adversity here coming off of the loss to Indiana. Very tough assignment, obviously, against a really good Illinois team tomorrow night. Penn State Wrestling will host Michigan State Friday night at 8 o'clock in Rec Hall. Coming off of a pretty remarkable performance at the Southern Scuffle. Penn State sent 9 non-starters down to Chattanooga. I hesitate to use the term backup. I mean, I guess technically they all are. Obviously, if you're not in the starting lineup, you're a backup, and those guys would be called upon if there were injuries to the starters. So, but you also kind of know some of these guys are not exactly what you would consider backup material. But Penn State sends 9 down. They end up with 3 champions, a runner-up, and a 5th-place finisher in Kirk McHenry. Connor Pierce finishes as the runner-up, and Penn State runs the table in the final 3 weights with Zach Ryder, Connor Mirasola, and Cole Mirasola. And those 3 in particular, I think just that you see why that class, that recruiting class is so highly heralded. Yep.
I need to ask, how many other schools were wrestling their backups?
There were,
if you don't mind.
Yeah, there were, like Oklahoma had some backups. I think they had some starters there too. There was a mixed bag for sure. I think in all there were 22 schools that sent wrestlers. I think most of them had at least some of their starters. The majority of them sent their starters, but as their lineup. But again,
did our whole team go?
A very good show.
So
no, the 9 they sent
just 9.
Yep, they sent.
And then
9.
The coaching staff, and then the support staff, and all that stuff.
A couple of the coaches went down, and
sorry,
yeah,
I'm sure. Ask you these stupid questions.
Yeah, I'm sure some of the other support staff went as well. So again, back to dual meet action Friday night with Michigan State coming in. Penn State will be favored in all 10 bouts, and Big Ten Network will have coverage of that one on Friday.
So the 3 guys that won the titles and the guy who won the runner-up, who did they beat? Did they beat number one guys type of thing? I mean, how many of those guys would? How good are our backups? We know how good the starters are.
Good. I mean, those 3, Ryder and the Mirasolas are next level good.
And I will say
Connor Pierce keeps getting better and better, and I think he's a guy that speaks volumes. Not unlike Terrell Barraclough in terms of a guy that, again, was very good coming out of high school. But you're seeing that progression now where he's taking leaps and is knocked off a ranked wrestler to get to the finals. And really had an opportunity. The finals bout really could have gone either way. He ended up losing to Stephen Little of Little Rock, but it was there was an early takedown attempt that he had the leg up in the air for, it seemed like, forever. It was probably 30 seconds and just couldn't quite finish it off. I'm not sure that he wins it if he gets that takedown, but I think the bout takes on a different complexion if he gets that opening takedown. But yeah, this team is just very, very special, like historically special. And we'll see what the rest of the season brings. I know a lot of folks are already, I'm getting more questions about next year's lineup.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's like, let's just see how it plays out. And I mean, it's understandable. Again, there's only 10 starting spots. I get it. I mean, I'm seeing the same math everybody else is, and it's like, well, there's 14 to 16 elite wrestlers. How many of these guys are going to stick around? How many? I don't know the answer to any of that. Again, it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. I don't know, again, just looking at 184 through heavyweight, you have nothing but elite wrestlers there. And there's some others in the mix here, but start with the fact that you have Josh Barr, who I think is clearly a national title contender this year. Connor Mirasola, who is an all-everything recruit. Zach Ryder, who is an all-everything recruit. And then Cole Mirasola, obviously, at heavyweight. But, I mean, you have three, again, when I say elite, like next level guys, well, there's only two spots there at 184 and 197. So either, I mean, one of those three, Zach Ryder, Connor Mirasola, or Josh Barr, is not going to be in the starting lineup next year. I don't think any of them are capable of cutting down to 174 and being effective. And even if they were, Penn State has this guy, Levi Haynes, who's kind of hanging out there. So
he's all right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know the answer. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to wrestle and see how it plays out. I don't know if, it's certainly possible one of those kids ends up transferred. I think it's also possible that, they all hang out for another year and see kind of how things develop and whether or not they can work their way into the lineup. It is a problem for sure, but it is certainly a very nice problem.
I think we're beyond first world problem.
Programs would certainly enjoy having to worry about.
So Jeffrey, has there ever been talk at nationals of multiple guys?
There has been some discussion over the years. What was proposed, and I don't know if it ever got proposed. Like it was. When I say proposed, like I really don't remember now if it was just a media member that threw it out as, man, this would be cool to see. But they have the proposal was, let's have a national tournament for non-starters, maybe a couple of weeks before the conference tournaments, and allow the 10 champions of that tournament to go ahead and compete at the national championships. Now, I don't think that is going to happen for a few different reasons.
That's pretty awesome. The thought of that, though.
Yeah, not the least of which is right now you have 33 spots.
Correct.
If you're going to go that route, what I would, and I'm not opposed to that, but I think, again, you're looking at a time where I think folks are in the sports that are not football or men's basketball. I think that you're trying to figure out ways to cut costs, not to add to the costs with the championship. And either you're going to be eliminating, if you presume that the NCAA and the college wrestling would like to hold at 33 now, which is, again, you're allowed 30, we're not allowed, they have 33 wrestlers at each of the 10 weight classes that go to the NCAA tournament. I think you could certainly add to that. What my preference would be, and I'd be okay with adding a non-starter, into the mix. And then you just take the higher placing or higher scoring individual that would count toward the team score of those squads. What happens sometimes in early season tournaments is you have to designate who your scoring wrestler is. And then sometimes you end up, your team gets hurt because one of your other wrestlers beats the guy that was the designated starter. My preference has always been let the team benefit from whichever wrestler ends up being the higher scoring wrestler in any of those tournaments. I miss the days when they had the Division II and Division III champions as part of the field. I thought that was a wonderful touch for college wrestling. It was very rare that Division II or Division III wrestlers got on the podium. Obviously, the glaring exception was Carlton Hasselrig from Pitt Johnstown, who became a six-time national champion because he won 3 Division II titles and then also won 3 Division III titles and then also won 3 Division I titles.
Not Division I, not
well.
Division II, Division III.
But
that's Aeneas' cousin, by the way.
Yeah, when you look at the at where college wrestling is right now, I'll be very surprised if that gets through. And listen, in part, while it would be great from Penn State's perspective to see this, like if you had that in place this year, and this is just, again, the absurdity of how good this Penn State program has become, I think you'd likely have 3 to 5 of the non-starting champions come from Penn State this season. Well, I don't know that a lot of other teams what we really need is to see more Penn Staters in there and have a chance at the podium. So in part for that reason, I don't think that would occur. All right, turning our attention back to Penn State Notre Dame here again. Thursday night, a little after 7:30 will be the kickoff. The quarterback matchup is interesting because it is certainly a contrast of styles, but I think the growth of both of these guys and the way their teams rely on them to come up big when they need them to come up big, and maybe just as importantly to not make mistakes that hurt their team. Like, there's a lot of similarities there too in terms of the way the offenses are relying on those quarterbacks and their decision making.
Yeah. Did you see all the stuff about Aller coming out right now about him not, possibly even not coming back next year and getting the NFL draft?
Yeah,
I mean, that was going into this playoff season was, where is he at right now versus he's playing that well right now where he's turning heads. And that was our fear, not our fear, but we had mentioned that. What if Drew Aller goes out there, wins the national title, plays great, is going to be the 3rd overall pick? Of course he's going to leave, whatever he said before and whatever whatnot. But Notre Dame's I don't know the kid's name, but he is a very dynamic, running, passing, quarterback type of thing. Not thing, but player.
Yeah,
obviously. But they go as he goes, I think. And they're not asking him to go out and throw for 300 yards. I think he threw for 150 yards the other day.
Yeah,
that's their game, and their game's the run game, and then have to throw the ball when they have to. And again, I sort of goes back to how we are. I think that Drew was a much better passer than Notre Dame's quarterback, but I think that Notre Dame's quarterback is a much better runner. So they go as we go, the type of thing. Again, the similarities are pretty freaking awkward at this point, talking about all these guys and how similar these teams are and where they're at. I mean, I'm going back to, like I said, 86 was our last national title. Theirs was 88. We played for one in 94, 93. They did. They played in the Manti Te'o Bowl and stuff like that. That was the only time I believe that they had made the playoffs in the national title game.
I think they've been in the playoffs.
They've been in the playoffs, yeah. But that was the first time that they had made a title game, and it was bad. So they're looking to recover, rebound, and go back to wake up the echoes of their histories, the same as we are. I'm looking at the Big Ten Network here on television. Here, there's some Abdul Carter updates and stuff like that. Nothing new, by the way.
Yeah.
Just his Superman in his healing chamber, getting ready to go. But is that a Willis Reed moment for our defense?
Well,
of Abdul playing.
I mean, I think that'll be overstated a bit, but it is going to be interesting if he plays. Well, regardless of whether he plays or not.
Yep.
How Penn State approaches Riley Leonard and the Notre Dame rushing attack. Like, do you put a spy on Leonard? Do you have somebody that, man, your responsibility is Riley Leonard, or do you mix it up? And with Abdul Carter, the flexibility that gives the defense is obviously much greater than if Vanover's in there. Now, Vanover, again, played a whale of a game against Boise State. He can do some pretty freakish things himself athletically, but he just doesn't have the disruptive impact as consistently, in part because nobody has that in college football right now that Abdul Carter brings. So again, I think Penn State has a pretty good idea whether or not Abdul Carter is going to play. I'm guessing that he's not. It's just purely a guess. I obviously have no inside info. I'm just not expecting. It'll be a pleasant surprise for me if he's out there. And so I think that the linebacking play becomes even more important in this game and how they utilize them. And listen, there's going to be some run blitzes mixed in there as part of the package for sure. But I think you also want to see, all right, how can this defensive front, how will this defensive front hold up? Again, we talk about Penn State's offensive line, and rightfully so. This Notre Dame team, and to your point, Goon, no question, they have not played the most daunting schedule in the world, but they're averaging over 6 yards per carry. Like, as an offense, I mean, it's crazy to have a running back, a player who averages over 6 yards a carry. Their offense averages over 6 yards a carry. How much can Penn State disrupt? And again, it's the exact same thing Notre Dame's asking the other way. How much can Penn State get Notre Dame off schedule? Holding them to a couple of 2-yard runs and making it a 3rd and 6, that's going to be a big deal versus a 3rd and 1 or a 3rd and 2 in terms of, all right, now it's not as clear-cut dry. And by the way, both of these teams, even in 3rd and long, even in 3rd and 10, like, it's not a guarantee that they're going to be throwing the ball. Because, again, to some degree, I do think this is going to be a field position game as well. And getting the other team, making the other team, any running team, if you're forcing them to go 85, 90 yards, it's just harder to put that together, right, consistently because of the self-inflicted mistakes. Trying to put 12, 15 play drives together without making a mistake, without letting the defense have a disruptive play that gets you off schedule, that's really difficult to do. So if you can't get things going offensively, getting a couple of first downs, getting your punter to get the other team inside the 20 or inside the 10 more ideally, that's going to be a big deal here in this game.
You got to force your quarterback to make plays because it's, again, I said about Boise, we can shut down a single faceted offense. That's your defense's job.
Yep.
So you got to make Leonard make plays on us the same way they got to make Aller make plays on them.
Yep.
You know, they're going to do what Ohio State did to us, and that is take Warren out of the game. I mean, if I was coaching against Penn State, it's going to say no run. We got to contain Warren, contain the run, make the quarterback and wide receivers beat us. Stuff the box. Don't let them run on us. You got to say, hey, you got to throw the ball on us. I'm sorry, your wide receivers got to prove that you can move the ball and score some points before we're going to change. So I mean, it's the same thing all year, man.
Yeah.
The pressure is on our quarterback, on Drew, and our wide receivers to make some plays happen. And then when, they do make plays, but that loosens up the defense. So,
and I think, the interesting thing about it, Goon, is because I think that the general perception is Leonard's a running quarterback. He's not that good of a thrower. And he is an outstanding runner. There's no question. Yeah. I think he's a better passer than he gets credit for. And he's really good with his decision making, which is crucial. And Drew Aller, I think, is a better runner than he gets credit for. I think he's, a better passer than Leonard, but I don't think it's miles apart. And I think Leonard is certainly a better runner than Aller, but I don't think that's miles apart either. Like, I think both do the thing that they're less known for better than they get credit for. And what it really comes down to is they both very consistently all season long have made the right decision. Couple of passes they'd both like to have back for sure. But man, much more often than not, you're like, oh, yep, good decision there. Yep. Right call. Get rid of the ball. Yep. Didn't put it in harm's way.
Yep. Live to play another game. Live to play another game, but another play. Keep the ball alive. Don't give it away. No turnovers. John Schaefer type stuff.
And so this is the other thing that I think is going to be interesting with Riley Leonard and what Penn State does or if it's not able to with Leonard, which I think Aller is more likely, all right, let's throw the ball away here. If he's under pressure, let's live to play another down. I think Leonard, because of the success he's had with his feet, is more likely, let me see if I can go ahead and create something here. And then the question is, well, can he create something more often than not? Again, probably at some point he's going to get caught with a sack. Probably Aller will be sacked at least once or twice in this game. But more consistently, can Leonard on a busted play or with a big pass rush get away, create some positive yards, or can Penn State more consistently than not, get that pressure and, again, get him down or at least force him to throw the ball away.
And then, they played a very dynamic team in that Georgia team with athletes all over the field, and they hung in there and they beat them. They wore them down. Again, I'm not going Paul Feinbaum again on this show, but I don't think the SEC was the SEC of old this year. That's what I'm praying on.
But also that offense, it's not like they just moved the ball up and down the field on Georgia either. Again, I don't want to keep harping on that, but the reason I'm harping on that, the less than a minute of actual football time right before the half and after, is because it is how quickly a game can change. Again, a turnover, boom, they capitalize, kickoff return, all of a sudden, a very tight game opens up, and now you get Georgia with an inexperienced quarterback having to make some plays and feeling pressure, and I think it obviously completely changed the direction of that game. But so that's the wary part. If you're Penn State, you have to be aware of how devastating a turnover can be, how devastating a miscue in the special teams can be. But also, the positive side of that is, again, Notre Dame, again, credit, that's all part of it. But if Georgia doesn't turn the ball over there right before the half and just runs the clock out, if you don't have that kickoff return, that's 14 points. Now, Notre Dame's offense took advantage. Again, got the turnover, boom, right away, 25-yard or about that touchdown pass. All credit to Riley Leonard, to the play call, all of it. But you take those 14 points away, again, the offense wasn't moving up and down. It's 9 points that Notre Dame scored otherwise in that contest. So avoiding the mistakes, again, broken record time, but avoid the mistakes, force an opportunity for them, Notre Dame, to make a mistake. And I think that pressure really starts to ramp up. Going into the game, again, while I think Riley Leonard is a better passer than he gets credit for, I do think Penn State, if it comes down to it, quarterback has to make a throw downfield. I think Penn State, going into the game, probably has a little more confidence in Drew Aller being able to do that than Notre Dame does with Riley Leonard.
And I think we expected Aller to make that play.
But here's the converse. Do you expect the receivers to make that play? And if they limit Tyler Warren, and conversely, Penn State secondary has given up some passing plays. And again, this is what's to me just fascinating about this game is do I think Riley Leonard has a chance to exploit Penn State's defense, passing defense I'm talking about, in some spots? Yep. Do I think Notre Dame could, Drew Aller could deliver the ball and nope, receiver doesn't make a play. You get a tip ball, all of a sudden it's a big play for Notre Dame. Yeah, I mean, it's all possible, certainly. And again, I think it's what makes the chess match fascinating. How, James Franklin has talked about we're going to be aggressive. And I think the fans are on board. Man, we want to be aggressive. But we want to be aggressive to a point. Do I want them going for it 4th and 1 in a tie game out near midfield in the third quarter? Nope. I want to see a punt. Get Notre Dame down inside I want to see a good punt. I want to see good coverage. I want to see Notre Dame have to go 90-plus yards against that defense in crunch time. So, again, that's going to be fascinating, too, because I think both of these teams have that aggressive mindset. It's like, man, if we need a yard, we're going to get it. Fine, as far as it goes, but you're also facing very good defensive lines. And I do think that field position part is going to be pretty crucial here on Thursday.
Go ahead, baby. Almost there, Jeffrey.
Let
Almost there,
the
baby.
fun continue. We're back with more on Penn State Notre Dame after this on Sports Radio 98.7. The Fan.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU. Timberland Federal Credit Union. A credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here at Quaker Steak and Lube on a Tuesday, 2 days before the Nittany Lions and the Fighting Irish get together in Miami to settle things in the Orange Bowl and the national semifinals. Again, Friday night will be the Texas-Ohio State game.
Want to get into that?
Sure, let's do it.
Ohio State has outscored the two opponents they played in the preseason, in the postseason.
Yep,
35-0 first quarter.
Yep,
you just need to withstand that. Texas needs to withstand that onslaught that's coming their way, because Ohio State. I'm sorry, I'm a Penn State fan, and you know that. But
I had not picked up.
They're going to destroy Texas and destroy Penn State or Notre Dame if they're playing the way that they played against Oregon. My Lord, was that that was a session, man. It was very much a session. That's the Ohio State that we thought was going to be there all season. That was there at that point, and that's why my friend was saying it was a setup that they lost to Michigan, because that team should not have lost to Michigan. It was all a setup to get where they were, to get the home game, all that stuff. So,
well, what they seem to have finally figured out and recognized is that they have a huge advantage with their receiving core over anybody. Because that is a good Oregon defense. Make no mistake about it. And Ohio State made them look pedestrian at best.
But I think
in that game, Texas, to me, the Ohio, while there's a lot of kind of subplots here in the Penn State Notre Dame game, to me, Texas's chance, their only chance in this game. They have a very good defensive front. They have got to get to Will Howard,
correct,
like early and often. If Howard has time and is able to get the ball downfield, Ohio State is going to pile up the
I
points.
have no idea where that receiving O-line came from, because the week before our game, that was the Achilles heel, and they have recovered that much to play the way that they play. Now, I have a question. Did the bye weeks for the 4 bye teams hurt them, because all 4 lost last week? I mean, it didn't hurt Penn State or didn't hurt Ohio State when they had to play the bye week. Didn't win and play Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously easy to. I don't know that necessarily is the common thread there. That okay, well, if they hadn't had the off weeks, like Georgia still had. Again, a backup quarterback, a very talented backup quarterback, but a quarterback who has not played a lot of college football, going against a very good defensive team. And so, and listen, I think Penn State. As we said going into the game, we said coming out of the game, I think Penn State's a better football team than Boise State. I think if Penn State had had the off week and Boise State had been playing, I don't know if my guess is Penn State still would have won. Again, it's hard. We're not going to know definitively the answer. It's all kind of guesswork. I think Ohio State had a chip on its shoulder. They clearly had come together. And
through that game together,
they were fired up. I do think the Oregon offense was a little out of sync, in part because of the time off.
I wonder what Ohio State got off of Penn State throwing the ball all over.
But like Arizona State played a whale of a football game. Played a whale of a football game. And I don't know about should have, but certainly could have.
They'd have had a shot if they had called the
targeting properly. Yes. I mean, right there. But on paper, I thought even though I picked Arizona State to win, I did think they, overall roster talent, I don't think they were as good as Texas. So at the end of the day, I think at least 3 of those games, regardless of who had the week off, to me, likely would have gone the way they went.
Yeah.
It is amusing to me, and it seems like it's just general consensus now. Everybody seems on board. Yep, we've seen it. We need to tweak the playoff system because of the results that we've seen. And I just do you watch the NFL playoffs? Yeah. Do we have this overreaction every year when a 7 seed wins or a 1 seed rolls to a big victory? We don't. We're 1 year into it. I'm actually not as confident as seemingly I seem to be the only person on the planet. I'm like, I'm not sure this isn't the right system, having the 4 conference champions. And like we're 1 playoff into this, and we're making these grand pronouncements, and these teams need to be added. And my gosh, the SEC needs. I'm watching all of the games. I'm like, I think they got it right. I think the teams that deserve to be there, I think the teams that, by and large, I think they got it right. The seeding, I mean, we can debate and argue that, and that's fine. But Ohio State had to drop after the loss to Michigan. Like, Ohio State should have been the 3, or they should have been seeded higher than Penn State. How would you seed?
Hypothetically, they would have beaten them already.
Like, I understand Ohio State won the head-to-head matchup. I get it. But it's just like, again, I keep looking at the NFL, but it's the easiest comparison. And it's like, well, you have teams that win head-to-head matchups all of the time that have identical records, or even the team that won the head-to-head matchup has a better record, and they end up with a tougher path in the playoffs. That's the nature of sports. Like, I don't know how you solve that, where it's like, okay, well, this system where you're never going to have a red hot team that's going to have to face the number 1 seed will have to face in the quarterfinal round, or a more dangerous team than a 6 seed. Well, that's
I mean, you're sitting there saying you got to worry about Ohio State's the pass receivers they have on that team, what they've done in the last few games, but what Scatterbucci did to the Texas defensive front with running all over them, Ohio State's got to be licking their chops a little bit, saying, we can pound these guys. And guess what that does? That lightens up the defensive pressure on the wide receivers and opens up a wide margin. Ohio State is in the driver's seat in that game, in my opinion. If they could play Ohio State football, there's none of the other 3 teams stand a chance if the team has showed up that has played the last couple weeks. But they are up and down. I mean, again, we played them. They played well. The week before they played us, they stunk. They stink against Michigan, and then they don't play. Then they go and just destroy Tennessee, destroy
Oregon.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And then completely, take that one loss or one of their losses and avenge that. So I think that it came out that Texas and Penn State, if they go to the national title, it's 17 games for them.
Yeah.
So they're the only 2 who have the shot, because Ohio State and
Notre Dame
did not have to play.
Right.
In a conference title games, I should say. But yeah, a lot of games. Texas is worn down, beat up a little bit. Ohio State, that game was over in the second quarter. They pretty much had to bye the rest of the week.
Yeah.
That game could get ugly Friday. We'll talk about it more on Thursday, but man, again, I will say, if that Ohio State team's out there right now, we got nobody has a shot against them if that team's playing. But they are Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde sometimes. Again, they play us well. A week later, they're stink. They were obviously horrendous against Michigan. I mean, how does that team go out and do that to Oregon that lost to the Michigan team? And that's just mental. I think they're a little crazy there in Columbus, man. I mean, they got to get a new coach anyway. So, to win, lose, or draw, they're looking for a new head coach. So, if that gives you an indication of how nuts they are. But we've been waiting for it, Jeff. This is exactly what we've been asking for. Whether Penn State was in it or not, I'd be enjoying these playoffs.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But the fact that we're in it, and the fact that people who work for the program, like I'm telling you, you've got a month of your life that's just completely been upheaval. Like you're going to Phoenix for 3 days a week, go home for 3 days. You're back down to Miami for 3 or 4 days, and then you're going to get home for 4 days, and you're going to be Atlanta. I don't know if Atlanta is going to be a true bowl week or is it going to be. I don't know how that's happening, how that's working. And this is all first time. It's not like James Franklin's calling Jim Harbaugh and say, "Hey, what did you do last year for that playoff?" Or Nick Saban.
Yeah.
What did you guys do for that? Did you spend the whole week? Was the whole week there? That title game, are you there the whole week? It's crazy because everything is brand damn new, and I love it. Win, lose, or draw. I love the fact that we're there. We're talking about it. We're playing Notre Dame. I think we got a shot against them. I know we got a shot against them. I love it. Roll it out there, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think it's going to be interesting, and we'll maybe talk more about the potential changes to the playoffs both next year and certainly moving down the road. I think the one thing to me, Goon, is sooner rather than later we're going to get to a 16-team playoff because I think it's debatable whether teams want that week off, and I don't think it's debatable whether or not you would like to have that home game opportunity to open up the playoffs. So I think the top 8 seeds will get home games.
So we're going to have to lessen the out-of-conference games. You can't be playing 17, 18 a year.
Penn State is.
Oh, I know that, but I think that will change.
Or at least potentially is. Penn State and Texas both potentially
that part of it will change. I really do. I truly do. They don't want these guys out playing there that much. And, it is the first year. Nothing bad has happened with playing 16, 17 games. But if we do get to a 16-team playoff, that's another round. You're not getting a bye week.
It's not really another round. I mean, it's I guess another round for 4 teams. But
more people involved.
Yeah, but it's not really another round.
I think we got to get to the universal 8 or 9 conference games, 2 out-of-conference games. I would love to have one conference, one big matriarch or patriarch saying, "Okay, you're playing this team, and you're one of your 2 off-season games," because no one's going to schedule a Whopper anymore. It's just not going to happen. So you're not going to see any kind of. And then you will within the next 10 years because schedules are made that far in advance. But I don't think you're going to see an LSU play a USC to open a game after a few years from now, if we don't change things. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. I think things will change, though. I think it's going to be forced upon them.
Yes. By the way, the Raiders just fired Antonio Pierce, by the way. So
yeah. Which
get across the wire.
Although that is interesting because they're again that Urban Meyer discussion on Colin Cowherd where Meyer's like that's not going to happen where there's a commissioner because the haves are not willing to give up that control, that power.
Sure.
And so I guess the question is I guess. To me, I think it is going to happen because while the haves don't want to cede the power, you have to have these other programs to have a product. And where I think that the change is going to be forced upon college football is from like the middle to lower tiers of like the SEC and the Big Ten. Yeah, Penn State and more so like Ohio State and Michigan and Alabama and Georgia may be saying, nope, we don't need a commissioner. We'll handle it at the conference level. What I think is going to happen is like even the Ole Misses and the Floridas are going to say, no, we need this. Like we have to because they're seeing the power imbalance and it's not good for those other programs. Now, you're still going to have that power imbalance. Like it and we've always had it, or at least in my lifetime, we've always had it. I mean, that a lot of the same programs that were dominating in the 80s and 90s and even 70s, they're still here. So it's not Well, why is that? Well, those programs have more history, more money behind them, more everything, more resources. And that gap, I think, is likely to widen here moving forward. But again, you need these other programs feeling like they at least have some shot. If it truly is, hey, we have 25 teams that are competing for the 16 spots every year, that's and it's the same 25 teams. That is not good for your product, not healthy long term. Now we can debate. There's only so much you can do. Wow, was it good that Alabama was winning all those years? Is it good that Penn State Wrestling is winning all these years? Well, again, there's only so much you can do within the parameters. If the great programs, great coaches are going to excel, especially if they have more resources. And again, to some degree, there's no way to legislate around that. But there's just, again, more history. I mean, even if you instituted salary caps or whatever, there's still...
Think about that. They'd have to get rid of the power structure of the NCAA, the bowl system, and the conferences.
Well, and so that is the other thing, is the conference championship games, which I have presumed are going to go by the board. There is a strong sentiment out there that there's too much money for the conferences, and there's no way. But here's the thing, to your point, with the 17-game schedule, I think that is going to stay in place, because I don't think we're going to back off the 12-game schedule, because too many of these schools rely on the 7 home dates for their football teams, and you can't, if you have an 8-game conference schedule and you took a regular season game away, went to an 11-game regular season, right? Then you're down to 6 home dates, unless you're going to schedule 3 cupcakes every year. And at some point, the math doesn't work there. Like, not everybody is going to be able to get 3 teams to come in with no return date every year. So I think the 12 game stays. I still think at the end of the day, because of the money involved with the playoffs, that the conference championships will go by the boards. But I'll admit, after listening to all of the conversation coming out of the championship games from the national talking heads, I'm not as convinced of that as I thought I was going into those conference championship games this season. But I just don't think those games make a lot of sense. And I think that revenue can be made up by having an extra team from each of those conferences in the playoffs.
We'll talk about Thursday. I know we're going off the air, but like a team like Purdue, I mean, they're not living off of their Saturdays in West Lafayette.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that I don't know. How do you keep everybody happy? It's going to be very, very hard to keep everybody damn happy.
Well, you're not going to keep everybody happy, but how do you keep enough together and interested and willing to, quote unquote, go in?
I know we're leaving.
Yeah.
Outside of this playoff, there were some good damn bowl games.
Oh,
it was
no
some
doubt.
Really, really good games.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not well attended at all.
No, but they haven't been for a while.
But you got to think, would it be a little bit better to play in at stadiums? What's the Bahamas getting for the Bahamas Bowl? What it was? I mean, the Camping World in Orlando. They had, I think they had 3 bowl games this year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, would Florida like to have gone and played a home game? Would it be much more well attended, I think.
We'll kick that around and much more on Thursday's program. It'll be game day for the Nittany Lions, and we will talk to you then. Until then, be good and be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXS, once again, the Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox State College.